this is Full Game Prometheus, the only YouTuber that actually gives you full games of all the tips and schemes I post on my channel. I'll show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Alright, so guys, if you are looking for basically tips to go ahead and take your game to the next level, different offensive, defensive tips, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also the notification icon so you can get my daily uploads. Now, this is going to be basically a video for probably new players. And I know I've got a lot of senior players, veterans that know how to play the game, and a lot of the top, some of the advanced concepts and tips I provide to them benefit them. But this is really for new players. Maybe it is for players that play a long time and just never thought about this type of stuff. But this is just going to teach you how to be a better quarterback in the game. There's basically five different things that are going to make you a better Madden player and a better QB on offense. To basically move the chains, you know, obviously you want to have an effective running game, but to move the chains, you're going to have some kind of a passing game, because if you're a one-dimensional offense, you only know how to run the ball, you're going to lose at this game, and when you run into somebody that knows what they're doing. So the most important thing, the first most important thing is being able to read coverages and understand what type of coverages you're going to be going against on offense and defense. So that's probably the most important thing. Right now I'm using one of my favorite no huddle schemes in the game, which is the gun bunch tight end, basically you want to be able to go ahead and determine quickly what type of a coverage you're going against post snap, or basically pre-snap and then post-snap. So this I can easily tell right now, because I've got a single high safety, that this coverage is going to be cover 3, but sometimes people will disguise coverages and you want to be able to go and make the determination. The fastest way to determine what type of coverage you're going after essentially is going to be the safeties post-snap. That's going to kind of give you an idea of what's going to happen. So basically what this is going to play, let's just show you what happens with the safety on the backside. So I'll just go ahead and show you instant replay. So safety right now, single high safety. I know this is probably going to be a cover 3, but sometimes your opponent is going to he's going to show you that and then change things up a little bit. But if you could see, he pulls back into coverage and basically goes back to single high. This guy goes back to single high safety, and this guy goes back in single high. Now what I like to do is I like to determine reading my coverages. I'm really going to be determining two things. I'm going to determine whether it's man or zone coverage, and then make my reads and progressions from there. And we're going to go into the next thing, which is going to be understanding route concepts to kind of give you an idea where you should need to put the ball at. So really what I like to do is I look at the safeties, and also look at the linebackers. The linebackers are going to tell me whether I'm going against man or zone coverage. That's half the battle. If you understand you're going against man or zone coverage, that's going to kind of give you an idea where you need to go ahead, what type of concepts you need to use against your opponent to go ahead and beat his zones that he likes to use. So if you can see, this guy right here falls back into zones. Man coverage is going to become completely different. This guy's going to stay flatter, and he's probably going to go towards whoever's going to be running in zones, and that's going to kind of determine where I want to go with the ball. So let's just go ahead and run this again. So I've got two high safeties right here. I got one that's lower than one higher. It's probably a cover 3 shell. And once again, we're going to go ahead and see. And as you can see right here, the guy right here actually falls back into zone coverage. So I know it's zone. I know it's zone right here because these guys are falling back in coverage. They're checking. But it looks like it's a cover 3 shell, and this is actually a cover 3 shell. It's a cloud coverage because this guy actually falls in cloud, so you got a cover 3 shell. Why is this important? Well, understanding between zone and man coverage is going to make a night and day difference on how you use concepts to go and beat your opponent with. So you have to read, and the easiest way to read it is just basically watching what happens to your defenders and how they cover. So if this guy was man coverage, he would have been a little bit tighter to him, and most likely be beat on the shake. This guy would have came down and followed this guy out to the flat of his man. Is actually zone. So that's where concepts come in. All right, so guys, say first you got an opponent that runs a lot of cover 4 coverages. It's important to understand certain concepts to beat cover 4. I'm going to just give you a hypothetical because the cover 4 is very popular defense online, and a lot of people have been using it. And sometimes Madden players struggle. I know I struggled against it. If a guy knows how to actually disguise it fairly effectively and knows how to use certain routes. But if you're not familiar with certain concepts, that's very important. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little hyperlink right now where you can see basically a breakdown of reading coverages. This is another video that I just recently released, but we're going to go into concepts. Now, a concept that's really effective against the cover 4 would be, you can see these concepts right here where you got shot play, you've got switch, divide, double post, comeback routes, dagger. These are concepts that are in the game. Flood is a very good concept against basically any kind of a cover 4 because it's not gonna it's gonna force your opponent to basically go ahead and try to defend against this. So we're going to just do random floods against cover 4. So with a cover 4 defense, if your opponent's running cover 4, one of the things you can tell is that all the defensive backs are pretty much level at the backside. That's going to be your first read, unless your opponent actually tries to disguise by pressing or whatnot. Now, with cover 4, you've got the linebacker over here where the mic icon is over. He's got to play either a curl flat or a hard flat or something like that, but he can't necessarily play both positions. So why a flood is very effective is that it's going to allow you to go ahead and attack your opponent in an area that he can't be here. So let's just go ahead and show this in instant replay on how understanding concepts is going to allow you to go ahead and get more first downs. So this guy basically in cover 4, unless your opponent is running some kind of a hybrid coverage, he's going to have to cover this entire area over here. This is his entire area that he's going to over here. Now typically what he's going to do is he's going to either play hard, or he's going to play a hard flat, or he's going to play soft, and he's going to actually try to play a corner route. So that's going to allow you to go ahead and attack with the levels concept. You can see I've got basically 2 guys over here in the area. I've got a flat, the guy flat defender, he goes down to the flat defender, leaving that out route open for me where I can pick a good 20-yard gainer. So flood is a good way to go and attack your opponent if he's running a lot of cover 4. It's a very easy way to do that. So guys, if you want more breakdowns of understanding concepts, what concepts break down which type of defenses, make a comment in the comment section below. I can go ahead and roll out. If you're struggling with certain defenses, just let me know. I'll show you different concepts that you can pull out of your playbook to go ahead and make sure that you have it into your scheme to go and beat certain type of coverages. So let's go ahead and jump into the next thing, which is understanding catching. Alright, so guys, I want to talk about the catching mechanics. Obviously, if you guys are on Xbox, the corresponding buttons are going to match up, whether it's Y, it's triangle, or whatnot. But there's basically 3 different ways that you can go ahead and attack the ball, either on offense or defense, but this is basically offense. The triangle button or the Y button is actually aggressive catch. The square button is rack, that's run after the catch. So in other words, you're actually trying to catch it while you're running and taking off. And then the other one is the X button, which is possession catch. This essentially is basically catching the ball at all costs, trying to keep the ball in bounds. You're not trying to run afterwards. I would say a good 95% of the time, 98% of the time, I'm using either one of the 2 options, which is going to be rack or possession catch. I rarely use aggressive catch, and the reason why is I have not seen any kind of a benefit whatsoever to use aggressive catch. Maybe on a deep lob ball or something like that, or a deep throw ball where you're throwing the ball deep. Be the only time to use aggressive catch, but it doesn't seem like the animation really makes much of a difference to me. I'm sure that some of you guys have some MUT teams that have really good spectacular catch players, and you can aggressive catch. But aggressive catch is not like it was a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, the aggressive catch was basically all you had to do. It was so OP, and it's so good that Madden actually tried to tone this down, making the rack and the possession catch more of a type of situation where this is going to be an impact on your game. Alright, so with this particular thing, with this particular play, basically what we're going to do is we're going to determine on how we're going to throw the ball with the route that we're going after. So a possession catch right here, you can see the animation. My guy actually goes ahead and tries to catch the ball. In this type of situation, I held down possession catch because I'm right on the sideline. I want to make sure I get the possession. You know, this type of situation, because there's nobody in the area, it's better to rack it, because then actually you're going to try to run after the catch. You're not going to get popped. But possession catching is very good if you need a first down. It's all about getting past the sticks. You know you have a route that's going to get you past the first down marker. Possession catch is smarter to do than trying to rack it, because if you try to rack the ball, you have more likely to go ahead and drop it than to catch it. So sideline passes are very good to go ahead and use possession catches, or if it's past the first down marker, you're on a first and goal, you still have time, that's a better time to do that. Now let's say you are going to go ahead and try to go ahead and get some additional yards. So let's go ahead and take a look at Baldwin. Baldwin is going to be a type of situation you want to rack because it's a drag route. Drag routes, basically you want to try to run after the catch. So if we don't have a guy in the area, we're going to go ahead and rack it and go ahead and move it on to the next area. So places that you want to try to rack is if you're going against man coverage and you beat your man, that's going to be the ideal situation when you want to go ahead and do man coverage. Let's see, we're going to rack this so we can go ahead and take the ball up, because if we try to possession catch that flat, he's not going to go ahead and get any additional yards. So if we've definitely beat our man, as you can see right here, that's a possession catch, and that's the animation that you're going to get. So you have to understand the difference between the two. Let's say we're going to go with an aggressive catch right here. Let's see here, let's go ahead and pop him. And we're going to do an aggressive catch right there. Once again, I don't really see much of a benefit. That's a 6'7" wide receiver. But it might be a type of situation where it's going to be beneficial for you to go ahead and come up with that ball. But I just don't see the animation being worthwhile with an aggressive catch. It just doesn't seem to be something that's worth doing. Now, some of you guys might be different. If you do, if you feel like you can get better type animation with an aggressive catch in certain situations, just let us know in the notes. But really understanding the difference between the two, if you're not familiar with an aggressive catch or a possession catch, I would get in the lab immediately and start doing it, because I don't even, first and foremost, I don't even know how you're actually catching. So you can see right there, I racked the catch right there, and I actually dropped the ball, even though I should have had inside pressure against, or inside leverage from my opponent. Let's see, we're going to go and possession catch it right there, and right there the ball actually just gets tipped up. But you can see my body gets in the way. I'm going to do a little possession catch here. And as you can see right there, I get the body, and the body gets in the way, and actually goes in and comes down with the ball. So if you get getting past the sticks and you need that first down, my recommendation is to go ahead and use that possession catch for you. It's going to make a huge difference. So rack catch right there. As you can see, he didn't hold on to the ball because he racked it. I probably should have did a possession catch because the window was a little bit tight. So you gotta understand what type of a window you're throwing into and when you want to use possession catch or rack catch. I should have possession, because as you can see right here, I've got 3 defenders in the area. I've got a very good secondary with which is the Cardinals, and because I racked it, he's turning around and he's dropping the ball. Now if I would have possession catched the ball, he would have came down with it, and as you can see, I would have picked up a good 25 yards just because of the way this route, this concept was set up. It was pulling defenders out of the area. So that's important to understand the difference between when you need to rack and possession catch, and how you're going to go ahead and get more likely to get more receptions and catches because of it. Now the next thing that will make you a very good quarterback is understanding how to scramble as a quarterback, when to run with a quarterback, and how to go ahead and prevent yourself from fumbling the ball. I am not a person that likes to scramble my quarterback. I'm a Dan Marino. I'm a Tom Brady. I'm the kind of guy that wants to get the ball down the field. I want to make the passes. But one of the most annoying things in this game is actually trying to defend a scrambling quarterback. It is extremely annoying to do that, and it really can be. It just could be a very, very easy way to go ahead and get get touchdowns against your opponent if they're using that. So let's just go ahead and take a look at running with a quarterback. You know, the quickest thing to do when you're running with a quarterback is to just take the ball up. Now, as you can see right there, he almost lost the ball because it didn't actually slide. Now, to slide with your quarterback and running with your quarterback, all you have to do is just hit the square button, which I corresponded button that actually is for Xbox, and I don't know what that is. I'm going to go ahead and probably post something up here where you can see the controllers for Xbox. But with this particular play, you know, the best thing to do with a quarterback is to basically run when you have that opportunity. If your opponent has your offense locked up and there's nobody spying you, I would just take off your quarterback. There's no reason why you shouldn't take off your quarterback. And if you get around anybody, just slide. Unless you need to get past the first down marker, I just hit the dive button. And that's actually going to go ahead and basically give you an opportunity to do that. Now, if your opponent allows you to go ahead and attack your opponent down the field, that's fine. But you need to learn how to run with a quarterback. That's probably one of the most important things to do in this game is to run with your quarterback. So if you hit the trigger button will basically go ahead and give you run animation with your quarterback. And if you got a good quarterback like Russell Wilson, obviously you can attack him with a big pass like that if he throws the ball on the run. But I would have to say that's probably one of the most important things that you can do is understanding when to run and what not, because it becomes a nightmare defensively if you got a guy that likes to run with a quarterback. It is very, very hard to lock up someone's offense if they decide to run with a quarterback. So here's the fifth point, and this is probably the most important point. This is the difference between tournament players and just the average Joe that plays Madden. Throwing the ball away. A lot of average Joes make bad decisions and they actually throw in the coverage because basically their defense is broken down, or their offense is broken down. They don't know where to go with the ball. So one of the mechanics that you need to understand is that on your controller, if you actually push this button in, this button will actually go ahead and throw the ball away. So your right stick, if you push it in, it will throw the ball away from you. And this is going to be very important to actually have this mechanic in your skill set, because a lot of times what's going to happen is you're going to run into a situation where your opponent is going to have your offense locked up. And it could be not even your fault. It could be just simply that one of your wide receivers tripped, or he didn't get off some kind of a route. So you got to have this as part of your mechanic, is to be able to throw the ball away. Do understand that basically throwing the ball away, you got to be outside of those hash marks. That's actually the tackle box. So you see where the hash marks are at in the middle field. If you're outside of that, you're pretty well safe. You're not going to get yourself in any kind of trouble. But you can't. Giving up sacks is very bad. But what's worse than giving up sacks by not throwing the ball away is throwing interceptions and basically giving the ball back to your opponent. Now, obviously, if it's a fourth down situation, you want to go for it, but those are not the type of situations that you're always going to look at. You need to understand how to throw the ball away. That's the difference between great Madden players and okay Madden players, is that they will throw the ball away and live another day. Now, here's the final tip that I want to talk to you about that is probably one of the most underappreciated tips in the game of Madden. And I like to refer to it as route bouncing. All right, so with route releases and route bouncing, basically, if you understand what happens to a route when a play breaks down, this is going to help you go ahead and win more games. So this is kind of a high-level concept that's going to make you a better quarterback. A lot of times what happens is people, when they run into a situation where the play breaks down, they freeze, they'll go again and get sacked and stuff like that because they don't necessarily know where to go with the ball. Now, I know I can firsthand tell you that because I've really never spent the time to go ahead and figure out what routes are actually going to open up after the ball is actually released. So let's just see here right now. Now let's take a look at this route here. Both of these routes right now, basically they fall into different areas. So Richardson, let's go ahead and take a look at where he ended up at and where we had him going initially. So instant replay. I've got him on a quick little out route. He's going to do a quick little out route and he's going to break down. Now what happens is after the play breaks down, the quarterback breaks down, Richardson's either going to run straight up the sideline or he's going to come back in on a nice little like a slant route. So you can see right here he runs to the middle of the field and he just sits in the hole. So if you can anticipate where these routes are going to bounce to, this actually can go ahead and take your offense to a high level. So if you know that, say for instance, you're trying to force the ball over to this area of the field, and maybe you might want to try to hit this deep post route, and your opponent is using that. He's got Mabel coverage out here. He's got a bunch of different defenders taking away the sideline pass. You roll out to the right to try to get away from the pressure, and you're just sitting waiting. You know that this guy is going to come underneath this deep post, or a deep post route that actually is going to use or defended by your opponent, and he's going to actually come up and able to get you a nice reception. So it's important to understand how when plays break down, it's not really random where they go. These guys actually have kind of like assignments where they go after the play. So you want to let a play break down. If you're trying to really understand your offense, you want to isolate it down to a few different plays. You really need to understand where these guys are most likely to go, because that's going to give you 5th, 6th progressions that you can throw the ball into, especially if you've got an opponent that likes to use a lot of fag defense, is not setting a lot of pressure, he's trying to use your way, take away kind of things. This is going to allow you to go ahead and take your game to your next level. So guys, if you picked up some good stuff from this, obviously reading coverages, understanding concepts, understanding catching, scrambling with the quarterback, knowing how to throw the ball away, and then route bouncing and understanding what to do with the ball after the ball breaks down. This should help you with your game to be a better quarterback. Once again, to my subscribers, thank you for your support. I really appreciate this. I hope you guys picked up some fairly good tips from this particular video. Hit the like button if you did feel like this actually helped you. Once again, thank you for your support. Until next time.